So I coach product teams that are working on digital products. So that could be mobile apps, websites, web services, really something that has a technology component. And I teach them how to understand who their customers are, what they need. Almost always a product team is tasked with something like increase average revenue per customer, increase engagement. They're started with some metric. And so I teach them how to really understand what's going to impact that metric. So a lot of systems thinking. My business has doubled every year for the last 3 years. And I was getting to the point in the spring where I was really overwhelmed with just growth. I felt an obligation to meet the demand that I was getting. And it was not humanly possible. And so originally I was looking for a coach to just help me deal with that growth. So what I did originally was I reached out to people in my graduate community who had done this coaching certificate. One of our instructors is a partner in a big coaching firm that does a lot of executive coaching. And she couldn't keep up. Like, she said to me, I cannot believe somebody would say this to a coaching client, but she said to me, I'm getting exhausted just hearing you talk about all the things that you do. At which point I said, okay, well, it's really clear that this is not the right fit then, because I don't need somebody to be like in awe or exhausted by what I'm doing. I need somebody to help me do more than what I'm doing. So I don't know how this is gonna work. I had already known Michael. I knew Michael was a good coach. It had nothing to do with him. It was more about, I had a dumb rule in my head that my coach shouldn't be a friend. Michael actually invited me to a lunch to meet another one of his clients. And when I walked to that lunch, I was like, you know, you've had enough conversations with Michael to know he's probably the right coach for you. Maybe you should just ask him about this stupid rule that you have and see where the conversation goes. And then we talked about it and I realized it wasn't that big of a deal. First of all of his coaching clients are his friends. So they become his friends over the course of coaching. So it's been totally fine. I was on the road probably 80% time. And my time at home was like 2 or 3 days and then the next trip. And I love working with people in person. It was really fun, but I'm also really introverted and it was exhausting. Business travel is really long days. Clients are trying to maximize their time with you and they want to take you out for dinner or out for drinks. And it just was super depleting. It was like about halfway through my 3 months of marathon travel. And we were sitting at breakfast and he was asking me about how my business was going. And I just said, you know, I'm traveling way too much. And what's hard about travel is I'm constantly rescheduling coaching hours. Like, coaching and travel just doesn't work together. And I said, so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna change my coaching to be 3 weeks of the month. And I'm gonna do all my travel during the 4th week. And I think most people would say, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let me know how that goes. Whereas Michael asked what I found to be a very powerful question. He said, why do you travel at all? And it never would have occurred to me to ask that question because most consultants have to travel. And within 3 weeks of that conversation, I started telling new clients that I don't travel. And today, the only travel that I do is for conferences that I choose to go to. Michael gets to the root. Like, he hears what you're not saying and he's not afraid to ask it. And I think that is the heart of coaching. When I first started with Michael, I had already decided that I wanted to write a book. And I knew that I really wanted help with accountability around sticking to the book. And one of our very first sessions, I started talking about how I was afraid that I would start the book and never finish it. What he honed in on was, I wasn't writing a book because I should, but because it was a gift to the world. I have this in me that I can give to the world. So it was actually really helpful. It took all the pressure off. It made it fun to work on it. And that was like our very first session. I could tell you probably an equivalent story about every single session we've had. One of the things that draws me to him is he's very authentic. He's very much shows up as himself. And I think he's first of all, he's really passionate about entrepreneurship. And he's really passionate about supporting entrepreneurs. And I think that shows up in all of his interactions. The word that comes to mind is it's just really human. Like, he really just connects with you on a very human level. I think the real value of coaching, and especially with somebody like Michael, is it's really easy to get caught in our own heads because we're human and because we overthink things, because we get lost in what's up here and not what's out in the world. We're probably gonna take this meandering path to figure it out. Actually, I think some coaches try to come up with frameworks for like what's the shortcut through that meandering path. And I think what Michael does really well is he just says, is this the right path to be on? Or let's look at some other paths. And I think that bigger reframing is really hard to do on your own, no matter how good you are at business. And so to have somebody as a thought partner that can hear what you're saying and learn about your business and just start to ask questions, it's powerful. I think it's one of the best things you can do for your business.